the water. I played in the water today. Yeah, these rocks are pretty much done. I fiddled up here a little bit, mostly lowering the value of the adjacency of the top of the hill to the sky. This still will probably need some work in there, don't know. I didn't take it too seriously. I had a block of time this morning where I could work for about an hour and a half, and that's what I did with that hour and a half. When I came back, I decided, okay, let's get on with the water here. So the water is fairly calm, but there is residual ripple, you know, a residual fetch from the main bigger body of water off to our right. Catching a little bit of light on some wave crests. You know, is reflecting light from behind us? Is it picking it up from the rocks? Is it picking it up from the sky? Don't care. Doesn't matter. It works compositionally with the painting. It's open to interpretation. So the water is fairly cool, fairly blue. I wanted that sort of reflected of, you know, reflectant of the sky, the hills, keeping it a little bit softer. When we get into our foreground, we're going to come into some much warmer colors. We're going to raise the temperature quite a bit. So rather than having this whole painting here, because it's already kind of a painting, and then suddenly a wall of dark, you know, of rock, not dark because there will be some light catching these rocks, but a very solid wall as a barrier, and then jumping up into softer grass again, I thought, let's make an introduction. So I went from cooler colors down. I gradually worked my way into, okay, this is basically ultramarine blue, a touch of cobalt blue, yellow ochre, hints of raw umber, but that's sort of, you know, keeping it fairly blue. The raw umber is added over here more to pick up, you know, or really just to acknowledge the color in the sky. Never any harm in doing that with your water. Don't have to repeat it, don't have to mirror it. It's good to acknowledge it. Okay, so we went to the blues, and I slowly dismissed the blues and began to use more just raw umber and yellow ochre and alizarin crimson, a hint of cobalt blue to go into the mauves here, you know, into the purples, and then dismissing the blue completely and going with raw umber, yellow ochre, and a bit of alizarin crimson, and white. So we go sort of a warmish pink. And I felt because we're going to go very warm here, and because of the shape of the rocks, this is a nice sort of gentle introduction from the water going cold to warm, and here we go. It lines up with this log, which is going to be a little higher chroma again, and sort of in the reds. Well, burnt sienna will be more what's used there, and some warm yellow and some warm ochres as well, yellow ochre and what have you. So I kind of like that idea. It brings you down, brings you in, and instead of stopping your eye, it sort of introduces you into this. These two kind of do the same thing, but they're they're sort of on the edge of the painting. What they do is they act as connective tissue between sky, distant hill, these trees here, and bring us right down here. That works, but they're harder objects. It's like they're visually harder objects, and they're a little bit out of our main play area, right? So I felt it was kind of important to do the same thing here. I also added this little tree. Without it here before, they're just the top of a tree appearing behind these rocks. I kind of felt that it looked a little bit square with just this tree going down and across. I think that helps provide visual motion, you know? Guides the eye down to here a little bit. Yes, I know. We have a tree and a tree. And over here we have a tree and a tree of the same nature. But I see this as a couple of trees. A group, right? Even though it's only two, it's still a group. These two belong together. These are two trees, but they're separated. They're interspersed with a trunk, right? Completely different form again of a bigger tree. They don't have the same form. So it does not bother me that there are two trees here, you know, these two smaller evergreens, and these two, because the nature of them, of the way they're placed on the canvas, is totally different from one another. Very happy with the water. Laid in the paint, you know, got the colors about where I wanted to, and then I went over with some of the highlighting to give the surface of the water some texture. I think the water's done. Next, what am I going to do? I could go right to these trees, but I also could go onto these rocks a little bit and just keep working down here. You know, you got to realize that the closest object to you in this painting are these leaves here, this branch, which is basically going to rub my thigh if I move ahead by 1 foot. So the distance between here and the most distant close part of the closest plane is only maybe 40 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet, I don't know, not very far. So I don't mind laying in objects adjacent. I could paint this down here or this down here, and it won't bother me that I'm not working background to foreground. For me, the most important part, guide for painting was in the distance, where I go sky first, you know, that hill next, this hill next, these rocks next, this water next. All that's done. I'm going to consider all the rest of this painting to be on the same plane. So now I have the luxury of kind of, I think I'll do this, I think I'll do that. I don't have to worry too much about creating the illusion of distance, you know, in this area. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that for today. We'll get back to you when we're playing in the rocks. Maybe I should take you along while I'm playing in the rocks. I haven't done too much of that in the last couple of videos. So that's what we'll do. See you later. I'm just gonna keep shooting my six shooters here. Blah 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 blah. See you guys.